Hey, boys and girls, Mrs. Stewart here. It does say lesson one, but that's for me. We're going to be reading a story today about a little girl named Mariana, and it's called The Best of Bugs, Designing Hand Pollinators. Because we talked about what is technology, what is an engineer, and now we're going to kind of go into agricultural engineers. So I want to tell you a story. But here's some words that we'll come across, which is butterfly or a mariposa. It's a type of insect. Okay, they are pollinators, so we might hear about that in our story. Biology is the study of the natural world. Anything that grows naturally, trees, animals, grass, fish, you know, all the way down to it's like a little atom. Okay, so a caterpillar is a type of larva. So here's a caterpillar. Sometimes we see the little brown fuzzy ones around here. Let's see, the environment, it's the natural world around us. So when we go outside, we're in our environment. Laboratory, you can see that's a room where scientists and engineers do experiments. I think it'd be pretty cool to work in a laboratory. Um, Agricultural engineer, um, what they do is they integrate technology with farming. So they mix technology, like creating things, with farming, which is growing food or working with livestock like cows um, or chickens, other things that we eat. Hand pollinator, it's to pollinate by hand when natural pollination is not enough because you need pollen to go from one flower to another flower so that you can get the fruit or like the nut or even for it to grow a new seed so we can get a new plant. Okay, so we are going to be creating one of those, but we'll see why. Hypothesis, it's an idea or explanation um, that you like what you think. So um, and then you test it and you experiment it. So it's what you think is going to happen is your hypothesis. And then you test it to see if you are right or not. Keep going. Metamorphosis. It's a process some animals go through to become adults. It's how they change from an egg, like with the frogs, from an egg to tadpoles. You can see as it's changing, and then it becomes a frog. It has a little tail, but then its tail's gone, and it is an adult. Okay, and you probably know the changing of the butterfly from an egg to a caterpillar to a pupa to a butterfly. That's very common. Okay, pollination. It's when pollen is moved from one plant over here to another plant so it can create seeds. Sometimes the seeds are inside fruit or inside of a nut. Other times it just stays inside of a pod, and when it falls, it creates another plant. Okay, nectar. Ooh, it's the sweet liquid produced by plants used by bees in making honey, so it's very tasty. And that brings all the bees to the yard. Not milkshakes, nectar. Pesticides, a substance used to destroy pests as insects or weeds. Okay, so it is a chemical that you spray on the plant that just kills all the insects. Well, sometimes it doesn't kill the ones that you want it to kill. But we'll learn more about that later. Okay, integrated pest management is a different way to take care of insect problems. So it's a process that can use to solve pest problems while lowering risk to people and the environment. So it's when you have one insect as a problem, but you bring in another insect that eats it, so it kind of takes care of your problem. Okay, we're going to keep going. So Mariana becomes a butterfly. Just a moment. I will be right back. Um, well, because we're going to have to look at it this way because I'm going to need the words at the bottom to tell you the story. Okay? So, Mariana becomes a butterfly. Oops. Put this where? What's going on? Okay. Mariana is a girl. who lives in the Dominican Republic. Okay, the Dominican Republic is a country that is, let's take a look at this document. Okay, that is way over here. We are right here, and it's way over here. So here's Florida, and it comes down, and here's the Dominican Republic. Look how beautiful it is. Oh, it's so green and has lots of flowers, and it's an island, so it's surrounded by the ocean, and it's close to the equator, so it's warm. And they have waterfalls, and here's some of the food that they eat. So chicken, rice, beans look so yummy to me. And they've got like avocados and like those look like bananas because they probably do have banana trees and they eat the bananas or plantains. Okay, and here is a quick video of some music. So I'm going to move it to. Merengue has been the official music and dance of the Dominican Republic since the 1930s. The dance is very popular in Puerto Rico as well. There is much folklore surrounding its origin. One theory is that it mimics the death of slaves who were chained by their ankles. Another story is that it mimics the dance movement of a pirate that had a wooden leg. No matter where it came from, authentic merengue is one of the simplest and liveliest Latin dances to learn because the beat is clear and the rhythm constant. Okay, so you get an idea. That's where the merengue originated, was in the Dominican Republic. And you can see those dance moves have spread across the world. I bet you've even seen them around here. So here we go, and go back over here. So that's where our friend Mariana lives, is in the Dominican Republic. And her friend, she loves her garden and spends many hours there taking care of her plants. But one plant isn't doing well, her ojillo berry plant. Her friend Pablo had brought it to her from Hawaii. He had to get special permission, and it had to be kept like quarantined. So now you know what that means, because it had to be kept by itself for a while to make sure it didn't have any diseases or insects that it would spread to the other plants. But when he brought it to her, it used to have berries and flowers, but not anymore. It still has flowers, but no berries. So here's a picture of the ojillo plant. See, here you can see it has red berries, and here you can see the flower. Well, hers are missing the berries. She just kind of has a problem. Okay, so Mariana doesn't know why this is. So her dad tells her that you should ask your tia Letty. She's an agricultural engineer. She can help you with problems that have to do with the plants. So Mariana visits her aunt and explains her problem. Tia Letty, I've been taking extra special care of my ojillo plant, but it will not produce berries. Well, Tia Letty asks Mariana if she knows how plants make seeds. Well, do you know how plants make seeds? Oh, Mariana does, and explains the process of pollination to her aunt. Tia Letty explains that there are seeds inside of berries. This causes Mariana to wonder and ask if her plant is being pollinated. You may not know the pollination process, so we will go over it. Okay, so I have this little video for us, and it's about pollination. So check it out, because this is how it works.
Hey, I am here to make some seeds. I wish I had some pollen. Hey, I got some pollen. Check it out. Can I have some? You bet. Come and get it. Well, we got a little problem. What? I can't walk. Oh, right. Neither can I. If only there was someone who could pick up your pollen and bring it over here to me.
Can't you hear my babies crying? They're hungry. They need pollen for food. The workers are hungry too. We need nectar to make honey for them. Go get me some pollen and nectar!
As you wish, Your Majesty. Hey, what's up, flower dudes? Hey, bee. Oh, yeah, hey, bee. Like, why are you guys acting so weird? Well, you see, we need some help from somebody with wings. I got wings. What can I do you for? Well, my friend here needs a little bit of my pollen, but I can't walk, and he can't walk. You think you could take some of my pollen and deliver it over there to him? Well, sure, but I need some pollen too. Could I have a little bit? Sure, there's enough for all. That tickles! Hey, thanks, bee. Now I've been pollinated. Pretty soon I'll be making some seeds. Hey, I need a little nectar too. You guys got any of that sweet, juicy nectar for me? Well, sure, we made some just for you. Take all you want. Hey, and I've been pollinated too. Thanks, bee. Everybody happy? Yeah, I'd say that was mutually beneficial for all of us. Later, flower dudes. Later, bee.
Um, okay, so here we go. You're going to need your packet. And so it's this packet. And you're going to turn 1, 2, and you should be on this third page. It says 1-3, the pollination system. So we just watched a short little video on the pollination system. So what was the insect's job to do? He went from one flower to the other. So he helps the pollen move. So he picks up pollen, drops off pollen, and he eats nectar, right? So we're going to make that line here. The flower, what is its job? Make pollen, nectar, and seeds, grow into new plant that makes new flowers, attract insects to flowers, and provides food for insects, or helps another flower make seeds. The flower, its job is to make pollen, nectar, and seeds, but it needs the pollen from another flower so that it can make seeds. Okay, so here we go. Pollen, what is pollen's job? Well, it helps another flower to make seeds because every flower has pollen, but it can't make seeds unless it gets pollen from another flower. So they have to share. Okay. And the nectar. Ooh, that's that sweet stuff. So that attracts insects to flowers and provides food for insects. They like to eat that nectar. It's like candy. Finally, a seed's job is to grow into a plant that makes new flowers. Okay, so now that we understand the pollination system, kind of like Mariana does, we may be able to help her solve her problem. So let's go back to our story. Okay, so back to Mariana. So Tia Letty asks Mariana if she knows how plants make seeds. Mariana does and explains the process of pollination to her aunt. Fioletti explains that there are seeds inside of berries. This causes Mariana to wonder and ask if her plant is being pollinated. Well, yeah, because now we know that pollination is what needs to happen to make seeds. So, Mariana decides to test this hypothesis by observing her ohelo plant to see if there are any insects visiting it and indirectly pollinating it. Her aunt gives her a journal with which to collect her data. So she's going to use that journal to put information in. Oops. Mariana gets to work. So she's looking, she's drawing pictures, she's keeping information on when the bugs visit. So 4 weeks, like lots of weeks, she watches butterflies and other insects visit the plants in the garden. Mariana soon realizes that not a single insect is visiting her ohelo plant. And so we know that in the pollination system, it's the bug or the insect, like the bee, that takes the pollen back and forth. So if no insects are visiting, then there's no pollen coming in or leaving. When she tells her aunt about what she observed, this leads to a discussion about why insects visit flowers and the benefits of this behavior to both the insect, food, and the plant, pollination. When Mariana realizes that there is nectar in her ohelo plant, she asks, why won't the insects come to eat it? Okay, so I'm going to kind of remind you what her ohelo plant looked like. Oh, it's way over here. Okay, and you see its little opening, and then it goes way back in. So, we'll go back to the right part of the story. Her Dialetti then responds with this analogy. So she said, it's kind of like this. So imagine you came to my house for dinner, and the table, being the flower, okay, is laid out with some food, but all the food is at the very center, is at the very center of the table where you couldn't reach it. So she's saying like Mariana is the bug or the bee, and the food is way over there. She can't reach it. Okay? Do you think you would have a very good dinner? Probably not, because you can't get to the food. So would you want to be there? Especially if you're hungry and there's another place right next door where you could get the food. So, with that thought, Mariana starts to think up solutions for her ohelo plant and wonders if she might bring an insect from Hawaii to pollinate her plant. Okay, so to think through her solution, Mariana decides to go visit her aunt at work. Her aunt shows her a papaya tree she's working on. Her aunt picks one of the papayas. Mariana gets excited because she loves papaya, especially for breakfast. Do you like papaya? I don't know if I've ever had it. No, but there's something wrong with the papaya. It looks like bugs have been eating it. Ew, there's a mealy bug in the papaya. Aunt Letty explains that when she was little, the Dominican Republic didn't have mealy bugs. But a few years ago, they started showing up and feasting on the papaya fruit. What can we do? Mariana asked. Well, we can spray a chemical that kills bugs called pesticides on on the trees, said Dialetti, but some pesticides are harmful to people. Do pesticides kill the good insects like the butterflies? Could pesticides hurt them too? Good question, Mariana, my little butterfly. We have been doing research and found that we can get help from another insect. So instead of spraying pesticides, we can get an insect to help us out. There is a certain type of wasp that eats mealybugs. If we have enough wasps, we can stop the mealybugs from destroying all the papayas. This is called integrated pest management. It's a natural system that uses nature instead of a process created by people. So Mariana thought, if I brought an insect from Hawaii to pollinate my ohelo plant, it might cause problems like the mealybug has done. So if one solution doesn't work, you need to think of a different one, said Dialetti. I want to show you something I'm working on in my lab. So her aunt took her to her lab. Okay, her aunt's lab was covered with plants. So while looking at the flowers on the plants, it made Mariana think of something. Her ohelo plant is missing something. She remembers insects aren't visiting her ohelo plant. My ohelo plant is missing part of its pollination system. What part of the pollination system is she missing? We have insects, flower, pollen, nectar, and seeds. Right, it's missing the insects because they're not visiting because they can't reach the food. Oh, good. So, Mariana decides that she might have a better solution to her problem. I can pollinate the plant myself rather than introducing an invasive species. Now you're thinking like an engineer, Violetti says. So, now we think about the title of the book, Mariana Becomes a Butterfly, and we know that butterflies are pollinators. They can get pollen on their bodies and take them from one flower to another. So, let's see how she's going to solve that problem. Violetti shows Mariana a technology that she uses in her work, a hand pollinator. Violetti then tells Mariana about the engineering design process and how it'll help her create her hand pollinator by asking more questions, imagining, planning, then creating and testing, and finally improving so it can work on more than one flower. Mariana creates a successful hand pollinator. Okay, let's see, here she is pollinating her ohelo plant. And look, it has berries. Yay! So, the end. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, so this was a wonderful story about a little girl and her plant and an agricultural engineer. And she became an agricultural engineer. So, we, like Mariana, are going to become agricultural engineers. But first, we need to remember some things. So, why do insects visit flowers? Yes, one reason is they help pollinate, and the other reason is they want to eat. Right. They need to get food. Is an insect pollinating a flower an example of technology? So remember our definition of technology is it's man-made, so it's made by a person, and it solves a problem. So right, an insect visiting a flower is a natural process. It is not technology because bugs are not man-made. They come in nature. They're just part of our environment. We did not make them. We may use them in integrated pest management, but they are made by nature. It's a natural process. So, is a hand pollinator an example of technology? Is her hand pollinator? Yes, you are right. It is technology because she made it, so it's man-made, and it solved a problem. What was her problem? Right, none of the insects were visiting her plant and it couldn't get pollinated. So, I hope you kind of get an idea of what kind of work we are going to be doing as an agricultural engineer. Okay, we have one last page to do before I let you go. It is um, in our packet. So yeah, you'll see this one, but don't worry about it. We're not going to do that page. So we just did this page. Go ahead and turn it here and then flip it like a pancake, the whole thing. Okay, so we've learned about the engineering design process. So we are going to identify the engineering design process in the story of Mariana Becomes a Butterfly. So we have to think about the story and where she went through this process. So Mariana used the engineering design process to help her design a hand pollinator. Complete the sentences below by filling in the correct step of the engineering design process. So here's the first step is we ask. So she asks questions, she does like research. 2, then she thinks of what it's going to look like. 3 is when you kind of create a plan and you draw it out. 4 is you create and you test. So you build it, you make it, you test it. And finally, you improve it is the last step to make it better. Okay, so making the hand pollinator and testing it on the ohelo plant was part of the blank step. Was it ask, imagine, plan, create, or improve? Here's the key word: making and testing. Right, it's create. Okay, the next one says number 2. Oh, give me a second to write it down. Okay, number 2, brainstorming different ways to make hand pollinator was part of the blank step. So when you imagine in your head, you're thinking, it's the same as brainstorming. So this word gave me the hint that the answer is imagine. There we go. It's the imagine step. Number 3, changing or improving. So when you've already made it and now you're going to change it to make it better. So changing the pollinator design so that it worked for more flowers was part of the blank step. So when you change it, that is part of the improve step. And remember, this is a video. You can pause it at any time. Number 4, talking with Dialetti about the pollination system and testing materials was part of the blank step. So talking, and she was asking her questions. Right, that is part of the ask step. Finally, making a drawing and choosing the materials to use was part of the plan. Because when you plan, you're going to draw it out and decide what is it going to look like before you make it. Okay? So that is all for today. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.